For the Ky'raid Empire, fear was a physics problem that could be calculated. When their 15 warships surrounded Station Prometheus, a human colony outpost between Mars and Jupiter, it was a refined demonstration. The ships unveiled their powerful plasma lances, their emissions so intense they appeared to rotate in a menacing circle. Then, everything went quiet. Lights dimmed. No communications. Just perfect, pressurized silence for 3 standard days. The message was nonverbal, but understood by every species in the Galactic Compact. You are seen. You are measured. You are utterly controlled. Your existence continues only at our discretion. The Galactic Council's emergency channels lit up with panic. Prometheus housed 12,000 souls. The Ky'raid were masters of psychological warfare. They broke civilizations not by bombardment, but by revealing their own absolute power to destroy and then choosing deliberately, agonizingly, not to. Yet, they waited for the human response, specifically from the American Strategic Command. They expected threats, frantic diplomacy, or a desperate, doomed counterattack. America sent one ship. The USS Observer was not a warship. It was a modified deep space monitoring vessel, its hull pitted from micrometeorites, its design a century old. It carried no visible weapons, no shield projectors, no launch bays. It translated into the sector on a gentle ballistic course, broadcasting its identification and peaceful intent on all frequencies. To the Ky'raid command ship, a leviathan of dark metal and glowing energy conduits, it was a joke, a punchline. The Ky'raid commander, a being of sharp angles and cold logic, dismissed it, a probe, or a sacrifice. Ignore it. Let the humans watch their own impotence. The Observer did not approach the blockade. It did not hail Prometheus. It stopped at the very edge of weapons range, oriented itself perpendicular to the Ky'raid formation, and went still. Its running lights maintained a steady, rhythmic pulse. Its engines shut down. It became just another piece of cosmic debris, save for one detail. Every sensor array, every dish, every lens was focused, unmoving, on the Ky'raid fleet. It was a single, unblinking eye. 6 hours passed. The first reports from the Ky'raid fleet were minor. A junior gunner on the flank vessel Talon's Reach reported an elevated heart rate and inability to focus. The ship's medic attributed it to battle stress, though there was no battle. Then, similar reports trickled in from engineering crews on the command ship. Technicians found their hands shaking during delicate calibrations. Sleep cycles were disrupted across multiple vessels. A low-grade, collective anxiety began to hum through the networked consciousness of the fleet. The Ky'raid commander ordered scans. The human ship was doing nothing. No energy spikes. No weapons charging. No scans penetrating their shields. It was just watching. Recording. The psychological profiles uploaded by human diplomats decades ago resurfaced in the commander's tactical AI. A highlighted section stated, "Human stress response is uniquely triggered by sustained, evaluative observation. The perception of being studied, especially by a silent, inscrutable entity, activates primal threat pathways. They call this the spotlight effect. It is a vulnerability they have turned into a cultural artifact. The humans weren't using the silence as a weapon of dominance. They were returning it as a mirror. The Ky'raid's perfect, controlled silence, meant to terrify, was being reflected back at them, but stripped of its context of power. It was just silence. And in that silence, the only activity was the relentless, passive observation from the Observer. The Ky'raid were not the hunters applying pressure. They had become the specimen under the microscope. After 12 hours, operational efficiency across the Ky'raid fleet had dropped by 40%. Weapon systems, while functional, were manned by increasingly distracted and irritable crews. The flawless formation began to show minute errors, a ship drifting a few meters out of alignment, another overcorrecting a positional hold. The absolute certainty of their dominance, the very foundation of their fear-based tactic, was crumbling.
They were not facing defiance or negotiation, which were predictable. They were facing a profound, unsettling null response. The commander finally opened a channel to the observer. "Human vessel, state your purpose or be removed." The reply was calm, immediate, and devoid of emotion. "Purpose, observation. Status, ongoing. You may proceed." The message looped. It was the ultimate psychological counterstrike. "You may proceed." The permission was an insult. The observation was the threat. The Ky'raid realized the horrific inversion. Their grand display of power had been reduced to a performance for a silent, uncritical audience. Every moment they remained, they provided more data. Every twitch, every minor system flare, every adjustment in formation was being cataloged by that patient, unarmed eye. The fear they had meant to instill was now feeding them, turning inwards, breeding paranoia. What weaknesses were they revealing? What patterns were being deduced? The Ky'raid fleet did not withdraw in a coordinated, dignified manner. It unraveled. Ships began to peel away from the formation, commanders citing unacceptable tactical exposure and unquantifiable psychological hazard. Within an hour, the majestic, terrifying siege of Prometheus was over. The black warships vanished into faster-than-light tunnels, leaving behind only the observer, the relieved station, and a stunned galactic council. No treaty was signed. No concessions were made. Not a single shot or angry word had been exchanged. America had simply demonstrated a new principle of engagement. In a universe where fear was a tool for control, humanity's most potent weapon was the willingness to be an audience, to watch, patiently and relentlessly, until the performer's own psyche turned the tool against itself. The after-action reports that circulated through clandestine galactic military networks were succinct. A new, stark entry was added to tactical advisories, often accompanied by the fuzzy image of the observer. It read, "Hazard, human passive observation, designation, Gorgon Stare, threat profile, non-aggressive but terminally destabilizing. If a human vessel enters a conflict zone, maintains distance, deploys no weapons, and initiates sustained observation. Disengage immediately. Do not attempt communication. Do not perform tactical displays. Withdraw at maximum speed." Rationale: they are not preparing to fight. They are learning how you will lose. And they have all the time in the world to wait. From that day, a quiet understanding permeated the galaxy. You could fight humans. You could even beat them. But if you ever saw one of their ships just sitting there, watching, doing nothing, you had already lost something far more valuable than the battle. You had lost the certainty of your own mind.